I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Leviathan Wilds. Now this game, there's a bunch of Leviathans in it, huge giant creatures who have gone crazy because crystals have messed with their minds. You are a bunch of heroes who will cooperatively jump on these Leviathans, smash these crystals, and make them better again. So you're not necessarily fighting them, you're healing them by beating the snot out of parts of their bodies.
Come what may.
That's right. You're basically doctors who like climbing. You've heard of Doctors Without Borders?
Rock
Doctors Without Gravity.
If you've ever played the video game Shadow of the Colossus, this is definitely what that is to some degree, or any other. It's a boss battler. But there is, how many? There's 17 Leviathans in here. If you want to, when you open this box up, you can play number 17.
You can, yeah.
Or you can play number 1. So Z's going to show us how to play it, and we'll be right back.
To set up the game, we are first going to pick which Leviathan here we are going to be going up against. And you've got different ones, sometimes having to reorient the book, as you can see here, with their own specific rules. But for now, we are going to start on this first one right here. And they are sick, they are blighted, and we need to cure them. After that, we're going to pick who we're going to be, and you make that up from 2 separate piles of cards. You pick a character, and then you sort of pick a profession, if you would. Like, they could be Brick and Free Climber, or Savvy with Breaker over here. Combine those cards up, put your character out here on your player board, set these tokens out, and you are pretty much ready to begin. You've also got over here, this track is going to explain the steps of a turn, and then it has this rage track that is the difficulty of the game. It sort of moves up as various things happen. You can set this on casual difficulty, normal, hard, or expert. We're just going to put it right there on normal for now, and we are, ready to begin. So now we've got our 2 characters set up over here, Brick, Fix, and we've got the board set up. You see we put dice out where indicated to represent the crystals that we are trying to eradicate and therefore cure this Leviathan. There's also some mushrooms, which are going to be beneficial. And then the board is made up of various connected symbols, some that are not connected, that are like little blank spaces there. And then some of these yellow symbols, some of these red symbols. I'll talk about that. And then the platforms is anywhere that has that lower symbol there. So we begin out here wherever we want to, and we're good to go. So I'll take you through a couple of turns here. At the start of a turn, we are going to reveal a threat. Each page of the book comes with a little introduction and a conclusion on the back. It's just flavor text. And then it also has these cards specifically for that Leviathan. So we shuffle these up. We put them down here like so. And this says we reveal a threat, meaning we reveal the first one like this, and it lets us know what it's going to do. It's going to, the active player is going to get pushed 1 down. Okay, got it. That's done. Then we activate Climber. So I have a hand of 3 at the beginning of the game here. I'm going to have my hand. I'm going to put one of these cards under my board here for action points. That's mandatory, okay? So I could, for example, do this card right here, like that. And now I have 4 action points to spend on any of these things I want to. I can spend action points to climb, as long as there's a connecting line between us. I'm going to go ahead and stand myself up so you can see a little better, but I'm right there, okay? And this fella, too. I can jump for 3 action points, and I'm skipping sort of a space in between to jump. I can glide down, sort of let go and glide down, and then grab onto something else. The distance is how many action points. And then I can also hit one of these crystals, trying to take them out, the purples and the blues. There's also then resting, which is going to let me reclaim my grip. My grip is this deck of cards, and it's what keeps me hanging on to this creature. And I can also spend 1 action point to just mend, which is healing this back up. You see, this over here is going to sometimes move up, and your health cannot go past it. If they meet, in fact, you are KO'd, basically, and the players have 1 turn to win, and if they can't, then you all lose. So that's something to manage very carefully. As you play cards, you're going to discard them over here, and you'll clean this one out of here and discard it as well. And when your deck over here runs out, your grip, then you fall until you hit a platform. If you're up here, you'll fall and hit that. Now the red spots here on the Leviathan, they'll hurt you, they'll hurt your life, and the yellow ones make you lose your grip. You discard a card every time you pass one of these yellow spots. So be aware of that. So I play a card, I have 4 action points, but besides that, I can play cards from my hand to use their abilities, and I'm ignoring everything else in this case. All right, I'm just doing the bottom thing. Some of the cards you'll notice have a symbol up here next to the number, and that's a protection I have for the whole round if I use the card for the top half, for its action points. So, for me, I'm over here, I have 4 action points, and I am trying to, ultimately what we are trying to do is take out all of these crystals. Once we clear them all, we win the game. If we run out of time or get knocked out, then we lose. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I take a hit for that. 3, these are all climbing, and then maybe I'll hit that for my last action point, okay? And it's pretty simple. I just take this down to a 4, like so, and that could be my turn. Then I will clear this out. Let's see, we resolve, clear this out, discard it, resolve the threat, which is this. The active player gets pushed down 1. That would be bad because I fall all the way down, and if I fall through this, I take the hit again. And then I draw back to 3. There we go. Then this player will go, and they're going to reveal a card. Okay, this is going to go around the active player, and anyone who ends up in that space or in one of these 4 spaces is going to lose 2 hearts. You have a little thing they give you to mark that spot. Let me grab it here. And so it goes around there like that. Bloop. That's the explodey point there. But if you leave that space enough so you're not in one of those locations, then you're good. All right, so they're going to take their turn. They have their hand of 3. They play one up here. They do their movement. If you hit one of these crystals, the blue ones specifically, and you don't have this protection because you put it up here, you tucked it underneath and gave yourself that action, those action points, then when you break any of these, or when you hit them at all, I should say, you have to move this down. That's how that one moves. Thankfully, everything's sort of color-coded, so that's very helpful. So you want to be mindful of those, that you do have protection as much as you can when you go after these blue crystals. And then when you cross one of these mushrooms, you'll take it, and it gives you some special ability. Like it lets you focus, that one. Focus is a special ability in this game where you get to flip over this right here, and you get to add a +1 to one of the written abilities on one of your cards, and then you flip this back over. It's very neat, and it lets you modify quite a bit in the game. So there you go. Once this player's done, they'll go through that, they'll reveal the threat, they activate the climber, they resolve this threat, then they draw back up to 3. These things keep happening back and forth with the players, remembering again that you want to manage your grip, because if you draw the last card, you fall. And then we move this ahead, we pick all these up, and now that there's a 1 below the current round, after we shuffle these up again, then the first one gets flipped with the blue side facing up. And that's going to be a worse ability. And so on. Once we go through all 5 of these, and then we do that, we shuffle them all up, and then we put the first 2 with the blue side face up, and then 3, and then 4, and then you're probably dead. So that's how that works, and it reminds you right here of the end of the round, those 2 things I just explained. Okay, shuffle and deal, and then advance the marker and enrage the cards. That's what that means. So that is what you are doing. You are climbing these creatures. You are breaking these dice. And again, they tell you right there on the board what goes there. So a 4 in blue, boom, a 4 in blue. You are navigating from point to point, leaping and gliding and trying to make it to these platforms so you can rest. When you rest, you shuffle your discard into your new grip. That's how you get your cards back. It's the only way you get your cards back, okay? Because you'll fall, you'll be on a platform, you can rest after you fall, but ideally you don't want to wait for that. Getting up here to these can be a little tricky, so you got to be careful. And ultimately trying to clear them all. When you do so, you win the game. And if you don't get to that point, then you are going to lose together.
I want to start out by saying a thank you to this company for making this box this size. I shouldn't have to say that anymore. But like, this fits on my shelf.
Pretty standard box for as much game as there is in it, and as much as you're taking the 2 decks and putting them together. The not mobility, but the interchangeability of everything. It's impressive that they made it work in this size box.
I agree. This is the kind of box that it's unfortunate, like you're saying, but I think in this day and age, you expect about half the content to be in there. And then here's 8 Leviathans. You want the other 7 or whatever. You want 8 more? Expansion.
Big box.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of content in here. So if you do end up enjoying the game, this will keep you busy for a while.
And it's amazing to me. There are 64 combinations you can pick as heroes. There's 8 characters, 8 classes. And they feel distinctly different. And we're talking a class that has, or is it the characters? Right? It has like sometimes
has one or two cards. That's it. And a special ability.
But that really matters.
It does. It does.
These are really small decks you're working with.
Yeah, I like how small it is because I like the fact that you can kind of learn what a character is or what that thing does. On the shaman or whatever they're called. I forget the little names for them, but like I can learn those 8 cards or so. I can get a real feeling for what that is. And then this little guy's name is Fix. I know what he does. I can get a real good feeling for that from 1 or 2 cards and a special ability. So on the one hand, you're like, oh, it's very few cards, but I enjoy it. It reminds me in that way of another game we recently talked about that you also played, Kinfire Delve, in which you are represented by a very small deck of cards.
Yes.
But you can learn that stuff.
Right.
You can utilize that. I enjoy that idea.
Because that deck doesn't grow as you play. And I think it being such a small and lean deck leads into another mechanism that I like, which is the hand management part of it, because you really have to manage losing your grip is what it's called thematically in here, but that deck running out, because that's when you lose your grip and you fall down until to the next platform. And it can set you back. So I like that it is a lean deck, that you learn the character. It really feels like you have built a character and you're getting another personality in their cards and what they can do well enough that you can cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
But it ties back into that mechanism of, but manage your deck. Yeah, I can help you, but then I'm going to be going through those cards and I'm going to lose grip at that point and set myself back a little bit. So I like that. I like that it's lean. I think it really leads to a good personality and it ties in so well with the other mechanisms.
Has anyone here played it solo?
No.
I don't. So other than solo, I played the other player counts, and I think it scales pretty well. Although I like it with 2 a lot.
Yeah.
2's a real nice back and forth, but I feel that way about a lot of co-op games like this.
Sure.
There are 64 combinations, like I said, 17 Leviathans. The amount of content in this box is extreme, but I like the fact that it thematically makes sense. You lose your grip, you will fall. You fall down to the next platform. You may or may not take damage. This is definitely a video game.
Yes.
And that you're trying to figure out what to do, but there's not a lot of complexity. And what they do is they'll say, here's a couple rules that this Leviathan adds.
Yeah.
A moving elevator that goes up and down. Something that's changing
The
off
eye
and on
opening
here.
and closing, or this is on and off, right?
Yeah.
And it's also not particularly long. It's 60-minute games. You're going to win or lose. There's also not necessarily... It's not like you're just going to all die. I mean, well, you can die, but what I mean is there's not... I don't feel like there's a timer in the game as much. It's just that the monster's getting stronger and stronger.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know, it all works pretty well to me, and I found that I think this is a fairly easy game to teach.
It's pretty easy. I had some issues with, I think, the learnability. Is that a thing of the game? I think is a little tricky. I think the rule book could be a little stronger. I think sometimes I certainly found myself kind of trying to decipher the way something was meant to work.
Yeah.
And even online, you can go now online and check that the company is basically like, yeah, we could tighten up the second edition of this. The rulebook could be better. That's to be expected. This is the company's first game. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of, cases, edge cases, and exclusions and what have you. But I think the core idea of the game is pretty learnable, is pretty easy to get into. And I like that mechanically, all the mechanisms in this game feel small. And that's not a dig whatsoever. I think they feel small because there's so many of them. I think the idea of the grip thing is a very small idea. The way the bad guy gets angrier. Very simple, basic idea. He has 5 cards. After you go through 5, one of them gets angrier, and then 2, and then 3. And I love that. It's such a neat, clean mechanism. All of that stuff comes together to make a game that feels robust. I just wish it was a little more examples, more defined things.
That's true. More examples would have been good.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
I will say, I said it's easy to teach, but I found the grip thing, for some reason, people were like, wait, so I fall the moment I have no cards in my deck. Yes, that's just not that's not an easy thing for people to grasp. It's like, oh, I still have a chance. Now you fall. So you got to be careful with the hand management.
Okay, I can see that. I think I'm more with what Z was talking about there, where it just didn't account. There's not enough examples for those edge cases.
Yeah.
And there was multiple times I had to be like, wait, hold on. Do I combine this damage so it's 1 attack, or are these 2 attacks so that this doesn't cover? Does this cover all the damage I would take, or just the first damage I would take? It was just little things like that got a little, not grindy, but a little too edge cases, and I didn't feel like it was clear. So because it wasn't clear, the rule didn't necessarily stick with me.
There's also a lot of cards that, and this I had to look up online, where I thought you could play, they say you play any card anytime. That's true. But unless the card specifically says any climber, blah, 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 you can't affect somebody else with it. And that is not clear unless you look that up online.
Oh, okay.
So that's, again, it's one of those things where you can tell this feels like a first edition of something.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
But for a first edition, I think they nailed it. I'm going to come down at an 8.5 on this. It's one that I really find myself enjoying the variability of it. I think the, 17 different monsters feel very unique. It feels like you can create your unique character to combat that. I have fun playing with all those different combinations. So like I said, most of my qualms really just come from the little bit of clarity that's needed. But getting past that is not a huge hurdle, and it's definitely worth the time. I'm very much enjoying this, and I could see it being one of my go-to cooperative games to play with a variety of people, because it is so quick also. I mean, it says 60 minutes on the box, and it really is. I like how quick it plays, but interactive and reactive you feel the whole time as well. You are involved in what is happening the whole game.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I like the look of it a lot. I'm giving it an 8. I think it's a very fun game. The only thing that keeps me from loving it is occasionally for me it felt a little procedural. There's not a whole lot of so there can be, especially if you play the guy who flips a coin the whole game. Although you're asking for danger. If you're new, do not play that guy.
Yeah,
that's
so
a free difficulty, not for a reason, because it's unpredictable. Yeah.
But I think it's neat, and it feels different than the stuff that's out there. And if you are a fan of these boss battlers where it's about getting to the spot, even if not a boss battler, just a puzzle dungeon, think of it that way, you will like this, I think, in a board game form.
Yeah.
This speaks to me on a lot of levels. I mentioned the rule book because I think it's my one gripe with the game, but I went online and looked it up because I want to consume this game. I'm giving it a 9. This is so my kind of thing. I love cooperative games. I love cards with abilities. I love the taking two things, put them together. That's your little guy climbing this creature, punching, fighting. It's puzzly. It's about the hand management. It's about coming together and formulating a plan. Yeah, this is, and the world building here is pretty cute. It's not the best world building I've ever seen. It's not the best artwork I've ever seen. But there's a very strong charm to this game.
It has a Hollow Knight feel to it, actually.
It does actually feel a little bit like that, yeah.
Interesting.
I think the video game vibe comes through strong in this one. I think you're right. It feels like a video game. If you told me that this is based on this video game that I've never heard of, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it.
But it
has
also,
that feel.
But it also doesn't leave you, oh, that reminds me of that video game. Let me go play that video game instead.
Sure.
No, it immerses you in, and I think holds you in it for what it is.
Absolutely. This is one I'm going to be messing with for a long time. It keeps bringing me back.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Leviathan Wilds. Check it out. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
And we're fighting the giants. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you liked this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.